Alright, we've got a 80s DR125 cylinder head here. Going to swap this out into the GN engine. So, might as well start at the bottom here. So this actually has a factory coating, goes in the combustion chamber. There's still some in the exhaust there, and there must have been some in the intake, but it's mostly worn out, probably from the fuel, but it's also, in everything. So there's some traces in it here, some still down the cam chain area there. The outside was already painted, but I've stripped it off and redid it. So the stuff in here is stuck in pretty well. I'm impressed that it still survives in this combustion chamber, because it's about 30-40 years old, and I cleaned it up with some thinners and wire brush and stuff, and it's really stuck in there. So why change to this head on the GN? Part of it's because of those 150 kits. Top of the piston isn't flat, and that messes with the GN squish bands. So got a couple of pistons here. Oh, let's dig one out. Here's one I polished up and was had seized it. So if you look on that, there is actually, it's not totally flat. We got that sort of ring there where it is flat, and then it's got a very slight crown on it. So when you've got your flat cylinder head, it's flat on those sides, you're getting like a weird ring of compression. I noticed even with two base gaskets to decrease the compression, you're still getting, it's like a weird pre-ignition sort of thing sometimes. Only sometimes. It's worse when you use cheaper fuel, but with the premium, still get it. If you come down, say you come down a big hill, sort of going flat out, and then you get a little bit of knocking or pinging, and the bike would die a little bit and then come back if you let off the gas. And I modified my other head to have slightly less of a squish band, and that improved it. But yeah, unless you can get a perfectly flat top piston, it just doesn't work right. Works well enough, you can ride it. It's more powerful, you can ride it, but I prefer it was not a piece of shit. So the DR head, this is a fairly open design. You can just see the angle here. So this would originally have had one of those really lumpy looking pistons that would come right up in here. I've got one somewhere, but they're all wrecked. The idea is, because that doesn't have big flat pieces there and there, even that piston will fit nicely. If you order a high dome piston, when you buy your big ball kit, you get that piston. We see we've got a lot of extra height. So I'm going to see. I've tried this with the cylinder, with the GN head, and because that wrist pin is at a different height, you get a lot more of a piston come out the top. It doesn't work at all with the GN head. So this might work on this head. We'll see. It would be nicer to use this to get a higher compression. If not, I'll use one of these. And I've got a few other funny pistons laying around that will work with that big ball kit. Pretty sure they're pistons for that. But ignoring the piston for a second. So those are our valves. That's the inlet, that's the exhaust. This is our exhaust valve from the GN head. See, it's so much bigger. So the exhaust valve there is 26. The GN exhaust valve 22 and a half. So big change there. Intake, of course, is way bigger. That's our GN. It's about 30, I think. What is that? Yep, 30 on the DR, and 25 and a half on the GN. So that's major difference. Some people bore this out 32mm. I think you can do 33 if you use the DR200 valve. I'm not using the DR200 head because it's so much bigger. Even that piston, I don't know if it would have enough compression, give you enough compression ratio. The inlet port, yeah, it's about the same as the GN. It's got a little bit of a lip right in there, sort of where it curves, so just under there. It's got a little lip that can be cleaned up. Otherwise, it's pretty decent. The valve, so the valve has also got a 5.5 stem rather than a 5mm stem. The other big difference is our valve springs. So these are tiny little GN125 double valve springs. You can take them out without any tools. Just put something on it, you can press it down and pop the collets out. These ones are just like, they're longer, uncompressed. They're about a centimetre longer, and they're about, I think it's about 1/2 mm thicker on the coil. See that? So a lot of people will run just the outer spring, which I might try that in the future. We'll see how this head goes with the big cam and the piston. Might be a bit much for it. I don't wanna drop a valve again. So I'll just grab this GN head. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's our GN head. There's a few little minor differences. It's that squish band, of course. That one hasn't been modified compared to a little bit more open on this side. You can of course modify this, open it out, put bigger valves in it. Let's see, this must be our 150 double bag. It's our 150 head gasket for the GN, so it'll fit fine. You know, there's a couple of little casting differences. I think the GN head has some castings in it for a EGR or some bullshit. So this hopefully will sort that weird pinging sort of ignition issue, and also it's going to breathe a lot better. Should get a lot more revs out of it, I'd imagine. We'll chuck it on the bike, and I'll use some putty and see what our squish is like for the pistons. We'll see which piston I'm going to use. I've got one of these pistons in the bike at the moment with modified valve cutouts, so that'll probably definitely work. So I might try that, see how it runs. And then another time I might measure up one of these pistons. Again, from memory it sticks quite a bit out of that head, but I've got another couple of engines around. I can test it on the bench rather than on the bike. So we'll chuck it on, and next one you see might be starting it.